Right now at 5, Joplin authorities turn to the public for help in identifying an armed robber.
We've got ourselves another cool start across the 4 states, but temperatures slowly on the rise. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, the show must go on. We'll have what steps a Marion, Kansas newspaper plan to do next in regards to a raid on their office.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner, and I just realized, if you folks at home noticed, I was not looking at any particular camera a moment ago.
That's all right.
We had open house last night at the middle school, and I'm telling you, I barely got any sleep. I was up late, and it was a busy night, and so I'm only about halfway here.
That's all right. Chris, it seems like you don't really have to do much today because the weather is that easy and good.
It is, and that's a nice thing because otherwise we might have a few problems. But the good news is the forecast is still pretty simple and straightforward across the area. Quick look at temperatures. Look at some of these cool temps. We weren't lying to you about dropping back into the upper 50s, and there's a lot more of them this morning than there was yesterday. We have 59 Chautauqua, Pittsburgh, Iola, 58 Stockton, 59 Neosho, 58 Anderson, 59 Grove, 55 Cassville, Monette, and some lower 60s sprinkled in there as well. But again, as you can see, a nice crisp start. It is, again, practically a fall-like start across the area, but we are going to get a little bit warmer. Even though our temps are a little bit cooler this morning, you got to love how Mother Nature works like that, where it's a little cooler this morning than it was yesterday, but we're going to be warmer later today than we were yesterday. It's interesting. I love how it works. Well, maybe a few clouds here and there, otherwise mostly clear skies, and we are going into the low 70s by late morning, and as we head into the afternoon, again, a pinch warmer, still below average, which is fine, but we're just a little bit warmer under these mostly clear skies as we see highs back into the lower 80s across the area as we head into the afternoon hours, and then as we head into the evening, that does mean, again, we're a pinch warmer. As you can see, our overnight low back into the mid-60s out there. But otherwise, still a pretty pleasant evening. Clear skies, 71 by 8, 67 at 10 o'clock. And as we look ahead, the temperatures, unfortunately, do continue to warm. Because, again, it is still summertime, of course, so I don't have to remind you of that. We know it's summertime. So we've got low 90s as we head into Thursday and Friday. And we start to go mid-upper 90s as we head into the weekend and the start of next week. We'll have another look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Authorities turned to the public for help in finding an armed robber. Monday night near midnight, Joplin police received a report of an armed robbery at Mac's Stop convenience store at 1302 South Schifferdecker Avenue. A surveillance camera showed the robber, but his face was covered and he wore gloves. He pointed a handgun at an employee and demanded money. The robber left with an undisclosed amount of cash and no one was hurt. An Iola drug investigation leads to the arrest of an Allen County man and woman, and authorities say it uncovered some disturbing discoveries. Authorities filed possession charges against Jace Ingham and Kimberly Mahoney, but a search of the house also led to the discovery of 3 children living in what authorities describe as deplorable conditions. Feces and urine believed to be from animals covered most of the floors, and the house was infested with cockroaches and ants. Investigators say all 3 children were unkept and visibly unclean, one appearing malnourished and extremely underweight. The children are now in protective custody. Missouri Governor Mike Parson yesterday put a spotlight on the Show Me State's new law allowing college athletes to profit by their names, images, and likeliness. He dropped by Farragut Field in Columbia for a ceremonial signing of House Bill 417. The legislation loosens restrictions on NIL earnings in Missouri. It allows high school recruits to profit from NIL deals once they sign with an in-state college. Also, coaches and school officials will be allowed to attend meetings between student athletes and a third party where NIL deal is negotiated. Parson says the bill is a game changer for the future of college athletes in the Show Me State.
I think this is a cutting-edge piece of legislation the legislators did. All of them are involved, Curtis, Carla, everybody that worked on this. You know, you got to pass these things. It's one thing to have an idea, but you got to get across the finish line. I think that's why this is so important, that we're setting the stage for other athletes all across this country.
Timely one as Mizzou football just landed the nation's consensus top defensive recruit in Williams Winery from Les Summit North High School in Jackson County. When Webb City High School students return to school next week, they'll find 6 brand new classrooms, one of them a $50,000 esports edition. The room will be used not only for practicing esports, but also for classes like coding and programming. As the fall semester starts, the school will recruit students to join their team. They plan to compete in both regional and state tournaments. School officials also expect the facility to help students with their future.
Military and security areas use drones and a tremendous amount of the esports skills. The construction business, iron workers, there's a lot of that's done not unlike how you would play the esports games.
There's some soft skills. There's working with others to collaboratively get to a bigger goal. The opportunities and scholarship dollars that are available to our students through an esports program when they go off to college, there are some tremendous scholarships that are available.
According to the school district, 204 schools in Missouri are currently involved with esports. They also say because all of the competitions are online, there's no need to travel. And the publisher of a newspaper in Marion County, Kansas, is speaking out about last week's police raid in his home and newspaper office. He says he's considering whether to take legal action and says he's fielding phone calls from media outlets around the nation and the world. Reporter Nick Nelson has the latest.
Marion County Record Eric Meyer.
This is Marion County Record publisher Eric Meyer answering a phone call from the state of New York. The phones at the Marion County Record have been ringing off the hook from people around the country who are supporting them after this raid. Headlines have circled the globe after police raided the Marion County Record's newsroom, as well as Meyer's home, a raid Meyer calls unprecedented. He says he's in almost constant communication with his legal team to figure out what kind of litigation they should pursue, if any.
Every attorney we've talked to says it. Every person who's read about this story says it. And there's no one, literally no one, who has said it was proper to execute this search warrant. And if there is, let them call me up and tell me.
This all stems from an incident where reporters for the Record were kicked out of an event hosted by Carrie's Kitchen, owned by Carrie Newell. Reporters later discovered Newell had a suspended driver's license and a DUI, as she was trying to obtain a liquor license for her business. Meyer insists Record reporters obtain the information through completely legal channels.
We not only did not do anything illegal, we reported everything we did, and we would have gladly shared almost anything that we gathered with the police if they had asked, instead of wanting to come knock our doors down and throw us out and seize our equipment. So why did they want to seize our equipment?
The Marion Police Department insists it's doing its job in investigating potential criminal activity, saying in a statement while the law does protect newsrooms from most searches, that's not the case when journalists themselves have committed a crime. Meyer is also dealing with the death of his 98-year-old mother, Joan, co-owner of the paper, who he says died due to the stress of the raid.
You know, they're going to go visit a 98-year-old woman and make the last day of her life total hell, which I will never forgive these people for doing that. And if they aren't held accountable by the people of the city of Marion, I will never forgive the people of the city of Marion.
Throughout this hardship, Meyer says he's grateful for the support the paper is receiving.
The outpouring of support and all the different interviews that I've done and all the different other things I've got to do to get the paper put together are probably a blessing in a very strange way.
Police Chief Gideon Cody didn't respond to questions about whether police filed a probable cause affidavit for the search warrant. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. We continue taking a look at what local football fans can expect from their teams. This time, we'll take you to Pittsburgh to learn more. Plus, we'll have how doctors and parents are worried about a shortage of ADHD medications. And those fall-like temperatures are over. We'll have how summer makes a comeback to the 4 states with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
High school football is in full swing in the 4 states. Missouri and Oklahoma schools are a week and a half into practices, and Kansas schools just began taking the field the other day. And that brings us to Pittsburgh yesterday afternoon. Coming off a trip to the state quarterfinals in 2022, the Purple Dragons are emphasizing what their head coach Josh Latimer refers to as DAT, discipline, accountability, and toughness, a brand of football that other teams don't want to play. And his group is counting down the days to show that attitude against an opponent.
We got 17 days. We've counted it down. We got it on the board in there, and we play Emporia Spartans. We go up there to their place, and they got us last year, so we owe them. They beat us in overtime on a field goal, and I think it's driven the boys to be able to push themselves this summer.
It's awesome. We've been working throughout the summer, and we've been working hard in the weight room, getting stronger, and we've been running and getting our work in there. We're very excited to be back on the field, and we're ready to play. We're going to be pretty good. We've had a new offense started last year. We ran it very well, and this year we're just going to be 10 times better. We're going to have more plays, and we're just running the same plays over again, and we're going to look good.
Missouri Southern made some news yesterday afternoon. They announced a new class of 6 inductees into the MSSU Athletics Hall of Fame. Features 5 former student athletes and 1 donor or linebacker. 5 former student athletes will be inducted on October 28th of this year. Danny Jones, who was a 7-time MIAA champion in women's track and field. Nikki Nill, the top goal scorer in the women's soccer program history. Harold Nuarfalis, who the greatest running back in the football program's history. Kani Tyler, who holds their record in wins, shutouts, saves, goals allowed as a goaltender. Brandon Williams, program record holder in sacks and tackles for loss, and Bill Martz, who's been attending Lions games since the mid-1970s. Well, still to come, we'll have Afghan girls are fighting for rights, including the right to attend higher education. And got another check of that forecast and when the summer heat returns when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:17 now on this Wednesday morning. Halfway through the work week. Quick looks outside. MoDOT camera, US 60 and Missouri 59. South side of Neosho looks good. Same for the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline back in Joplin. And the KDOT camera at 69 and East 5 20th Avenue, of course, just south of Pittsburgh. We're looking great so far. We are watching the potential for some fog development. Taking a look at the fog tracker, there's not a lot out there right now, but we'll keep an eye on that because we have the right conditions for some foggy conditions out there. So we'll keep an eye on any fog that builds. 61 in Joplin right now. A very pleasant start to the morning. We got a lot of 50s on the board this morning as well. We have 59 Iola, Chatopa, Pittsburgh, 58 Stockton, 55 Monette and Cassville, 59 Neosho, 58 Anderson. And we got some lower 60s, 63 Neodesha, 62 Parsons, and 60 Lamar and Carthage. So again, a very fall-like start out there. However, even though we're a little cooler this morning, we're going to be a little warmer this afternoon. We'll have mostly sunny skies, a few passing clouds here and there, and into the low 70s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, temperatures warm up nicely, but not excessively. They're warmer, but still below average under mostly clear skies as we go into the low to mid 80s across the area. And as we head into our evening, another beautiful one ahead of us. Mostly clear skies, 71 by 8, 67 by 10. Overnight lows back into the mid, maybe some upper 60s out there. So again, a very pleasant evening. Another great opportunity to open the windows. You'll get another one tomorrow. Even though we're warmer tomorrow, you'll get another opportunity to open the windows tomorrow evening, maybe for a few more evenings, but our daytime highs start to heat up. We go to 91 for us on our Thursday, 93 by Friday, and then as we head into the weekend, we have mostly clear skies, temperatures warming into the mid to upper 90s, getting close to that 100-degree mark. We we hold on to the upper 90s all the way through at least Wednesday next week. We might cool back a little bit Thursday and Friday. Then we're watching some thunderstorm chances as we head into our Friday. The good news is despite the fact that our afternoon highs are going to start pushing a lot closer to 100, which will be above average. We're never really at average in the 4 states, but we'll be somewhere in the 90s. Our overnight lows don't look too terribly bad as they still hang out in the low to mid 70s. That's a quick check of your forecast. We're going to be back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, drug abuse has become deadlier than ever in the U.S., and the nonprofit KFF is out with new polls showing how heavy the toll has been on families. According to the poll, nearly 1 in 10 adults in the U.S. had a family member die of a drug overdose. More than a quarter of adults surveyed say they are a member of their family have been addicted to prescription painkillers or other illegal opioids. Alcohol use disorder has also been on the rise in the U.S. and it became significantly more deadly during the pandemic. More than half of adults say someone in their family has been addicted to alcohol. And a new study says most of the babies who were sick with RSV last year had no underlying health conditions. Researchers looked at the cases of 600 infants who needed intensive care at 39 U.S. hospitals. They found that more than 81% of those who needed the ICU had no underlying medical conditions. The most of them had and have been carrying to full term. The study says infants who were born prematurely were at high risk for needing to be intubated. And school bells across the country are beginning to ring, but doctors and parents are worried about a shortage of ADHD medicine. The Food and Drug Administration posted information about more shortages last month. As students return to class, some parents and educators say the drug scarcity could have an impact on learning in the new school year. Some parents say they've had to skip doses or ration pills for their kids because pharmacies are out of the medicine. The FDA has added the generic drug Concerta and 2 types of Vyvanse capsules to the list of drug shortages. Recently, the FDA urged drug makers to increase production. The CDC recommends adults should get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per day. Now, research from the New American College of Cardiology tells us why, and we learn some simple sleep habits we can adopt to lengthen our lives.
America has a growing sleep problem.
By 2018, a third of Americans slept lesser, and I guess now it's half of the people don't sleep enough.
Now the American College of Cardiology says poor sleep habits can shorten your life by as much as 5 years. Researchers found those who had healthy sleep habits were 21% less likely to die from heart disease, 19% less likely to die from cancer, and 30% less likely to die for any reason. So how can you sleep more to live longer? First, get enough sleep.
We have a prescription for 7 hours.
Not getting enough sleep not only increases your risk for health conditions like heart disease and diabetes, but it can also put you at a greater risk of being in a car crash by 33%. Experts also found taking prescribed sleep medications increased your risk for cancer by 35%. And a Canadian study says instead of sleeping pills, try cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, to fall asleep 9 to 30 minutes sooner. Healthy habits can
ensure that you're getting a good quality sleep and are at low risk for health problems.
Dow Quick, KOAM News.
The study from the American College of Cardiology also found healthy sleep habits affected men more than women. Men who adopted all 5 healthy sleep habits had their life expectancy expanded by 5 years. Women who had these sleep habits had their life expanded by only 2.5 years. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, we've got ourselves another pretty decent day. We're a bit warmer today than we have been the last couple of days. We'll take another look at that forecast and when the summer heat returns coming up.
Right now at 5:30, the city of Neosho gets an EV charger.
And we've got ourselves another cool start across the 4 states. However, temperatures do start warming up a bit today. We'll take a look at how warm they'll get coming up.
Plus, an animal rescue in Joplin celebrates its silver anniversary.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we have a bit of a cool start across the 4 states for us. In fact, what's really interesting about how Mother Nature works is the fact that we had a slightly warmer start yesterday, but a cooler day. And we've got a cooler start today, but a warmer day ahead of us.
Wouldn't you know it, huh? Always keeping us on our toes.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have it any other way here in the 4 states. Let's take a look at how cool we are starting out there this morning. Got a lot of upper 50s across the region. So yesterday we weren't joking around when we said it was going to be a bit on the cool side. We got 58 Chetopa, Iola, 55s in Monette and Cassville, 59 Neosho, Yates Center, 58 Pittsburgh, 59 Lamar, and then some lower 60s as well. 60 in Carthage, Chanute, 62 Neodesha, and 61 in Independence. So again, not a bad start out there. However, we do have the potential ingredients for some fog. We're keeping an eye on the fog tracker. So far, no dense fog showing up, but we'll keep keep a close eye on that for you. All right, as we get our morning started, we've got mostly sunny skies. We're a little bit warmer, low 70s by late morning. And again, heading into the afternoon, we're still below average, which is just fine, I think, with everyone. But we are a pinch warmer today under those sunny skies, going into low to mid 80s across the area. As we head through the evening, and again, a gorgeous evening out there, sunny skies, dropping through the 70s, upper 60s, and overnight lows not much cooler. We just go back into the mid to upper 60s as we head through the overnight hours. However, as we look ahead, we're a little closer to average on our Thursday, low 90s. We're going to hang on to the low 90s, but a pinch warmer Friday. And then as we head into the weekend and we kick off the next work week, temperatures really start to warm up back into the mid to upper 90s, getting close to that 100-degree mark. So some unpleasant conditions on their way for sure. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, the Missouri governor spotlighted legislation intended to position Missouri as a national and global logistics leader. At a ceremonial signing event in Columbia, Parson once again put his signature on House Bill 4, the appropriations bill that includes the $2.8 billion approved by lawmakers to expand I-70 to 3 lanes in each direction across the entire state, from suburban St. Louis to suburban Kansas City. Columbia was just one of several stops by the governor for the ceremonial signing. Mark Slavich reports.
Governor Parson first asked the Missouri legislature for $860 million to pay for the Interstate 70 expansion project. State lawmakers pushed the plan even further to a $2.8 billion project. The governor held a ceremonial signing of House Bill 4 in Columbia, which provides the money for the project.
It's going to be much safer to drive I-70, but the economic impact this is going to have to be able to get product up and down the road, and then the opportunities businesses are going to have to bring in along the interstate. There's going to be some new opportunities there.
Parsons says the project will ease congestion on the heavily traveled interstate between St. Louis and Kansas City. A lot of stretches of I-70 in lower populated areas only have 2 lanes in both directions right now. Project supporters say 3 lanes in both directions across the state will help prevent accidents and save lives.
It's not only going to help Missouri from Kansas City to St. Louis, it's going to help all of the United States as much traffic as comes through our state, and we're really excited and looking forward to the 6 lanes across our state.
I-70 is obviously the artery of Missouri, and it comes right through the middle of Columbia. And so any improvements that can be made to us obviously helps out our community, both during construction and then also for years to come.
Governor Parson says construction on the Interstate 70 expansion project will begin next summer. The entire project will take about 6 to 7 years to complete. And 4 staters considering getting electric vehicles now have a new charging option. Liberty Utilities holds a ribbon cutting for new electric vehicle charging station. The chargers support any plug-in electric vehicle and offer 24/7 support and monitoring. This represents the first installation in Liberty's Ready to Charge program. The EV charging stations are located in downtown Neosho for easy access to and from Interstate 49.
This will really give an opportunity to draw some of that traffic off the interstate that is traveling and get that EV charge. And it's great when folks are getting their car charged, they can visit the shops and the restaurants here on the square in downtown and really make Neosho a destination.
Ready Charge program launched in October 2022. The Jasper Newton chapter of 100 Women Who Care donated $3,700 to the Area Agency on Aging. The money will go towards the Meals on Wheels program and fund add-ons such as fresh produce, paper products, and other essentials. Currently, participants receive 1 meal with milk and bread.
If they're getting homebound meals, they can't get out of the house to go get their groceries or other supplies for the house. So this is something that we can do for them.
You know, my mother passed away this year and she was 95, could not drive. And, you know, luckily family was there close enough to provide for her. But that isn't always the case in today's world. So for these people, they not only get those visits from Meals on Wheels, and they not only get a meal, but now this is an opportunity for us to step up and give them a little bit more and a little love.
100 Women Who Care has donated more than $50,000 to local organizations since starting the Jasper Newton chapter. An animal rescue shelter in Joplin celebrates a milestone. The Golden Paw Pet Rescue celebrates their silver anniversary this year. They've been a friend to man's best friend in Joplin for 25 years now. That's a lot of grooming and pet adoptions. But for one of the shelter's founders, it's been a real labor of love.
But there have been thousands of animals that have come through Golden Paw, been adopted, animals we groomed, animals we kept, just all kinds. And that's my passion, animals. The other thing that really is wonderful is the number of clients who actually have turned into personal friends over the years. And there's a lot of those.
Golden Paw Pet Rescue is located at 2300 North Main Street in Joplin. And fair season in the area might be nearing its end, but the Interstate Fair and Rodeo in Coffeyville, Kansas is in full swing. Competitors yesterday showed off their pigs, cows, rabbits, and sheep. One exhibitor we spoke with says the fair teaches some valuable lessons.
It definitely takes a lot of determination and responsibility. You have to go out every morning and every night, feed them, brush them, walk them, take care of them. Taking care of them, that part is the easiest part for me. It's getting them controlled, able to walk, that's the hardest part.
The fair continues through Saturday with more events including a carnival, monster truck rides, and a demolition derby. That's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. It's not a flower that you'd put in a bouquet, but it's one that perfume makers are scrambling for, jasmine. Plus, North Korea confirms that they do have the American soldier that crossed the border illegally. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. But first, here's a live look from Lamar, Missouri's downtown square. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, a deadly explosion in the Dominican Republic on Monday. At least 11 people, including a 4-month-old, were killed and dozens injured in the town of San Cristobal after a blast went off in a local bakery and tore through a busy commercial center. Firefighters sifting through the rubble on Tuesday as locals continue to search for missing loved ones. An investigation into what caused the explosion is ongoing. At least 30 people are dead and more than 100 are injured after a massive explosion at a gas station in southern Russia. 3 of the dead are children. Russia's state news agency reported the fire started at a car repair shop and spread to the nearby gas station, prompting the blast. Russian authorities have opened a criminal investigation. Cleanup efforts are underway. And North Korea's government has confirmed a U.S. soldier is in the secretive nation. Pyongyang issued a statement to a state-run news agency saying Private Travis King crossed into its territory. The agency reports King claims he entered North Korea due to ill feelings against mistreatment and racial discrimination in the U.S. Army. It is known that King crossed the military demarcation line from South Korea in July. North Korea claims he admits doing so was illegal. The Defense Department has not commented on the matter. And Tuesday marks 2 years since the Taliban fighters seized control of Afghanistan's capital. That day ushered in the sudden end of the 20-year war with the United States and threw the country's future into doubt. Since then, Afghans have suffered from emergency food shortages, malnutrition, and prolonged drought. Despite promises to be lenient, Taliban leaders are steadily cracking down on human rights. They've imposed heavy restrictions on society, especially on women and girls. The Taliban has declared Tuesday a national holiday, calling it a day full of honor and pride for Afghans. And with that Taliban of 2 years, following the U.S. military withdrawal, women's rights continue to face severe restrictions. Here's a closer look at one young woman defying the rules and secretly continuing her education. Trey Yinst has the details.
Weapons in hand and flags raised, Taliban fighters parade through the streets of Kabul, just as they did when they took the city 2 years ago. For some, it's a joyous occasion.
Today is a very happy day, the day of America's defeat. We are proud of the Islamic Emirate and we are so happy.
For other Afghans, a reminder of the moment they lost their freedoms. Today, Afghanistan is ruled by a strict interpretation of Islamic law. Music is banned. The free press has disappeared, and young women are no longer able to walk alone in the evenings, travel to other provinces without an escort, or access secondary and higher education.
When I heard the Taliban,
22-year-old Malia tells Fox News she went into hiding after the Taliban takeover and now continues her studies in secret. At this small desk, Malia takes daily classes at an American-based online school called University of the People.
I'm studying computer science with the hope that after my graduation from University of the People, I might get a job and to work.
Malia's story is not unique. More than 1 million women are now unable to obtain higher education. The Biden administration and Western allies are encouraging the Taliban to reverse policies that restrict access to education.
We continue to work to hold the Taliban accountable for the many commitments that it's made and not fulfilled, particularly when it comes to the rights of women and girls.
And surfers who went missing off the coast of Indonesia have been found safe. 3 of them were discovered bobbing on surfboards Tuesday, along with 2 Indonesian members of the boat crew. The 4th surfer, who had gone to find help, was also discovered safe. According to CNN affiliate 9 News, the Australians were on a surf trip in Indonesia to celebrate a 30th birthday. They went missing when their boat encountered poor weather. 3rd member of the boat crew remains missing. And a koala predicts who will win the Women's World Cup semi-final game between England and Australia. Matilda, a koala living at the Currimbum Wildlife Sanctuary in Australia, might be a little biased. She predicted Australia will beat England and move on to the Women's World Cup final. After a long day of napping and eating, Matilda made her way over to the Australian team's scarf, solidifying her choice. You might be chuckling, but there may be something cosmic going on. Matilda already correctly predicted Australia would beat France in their quarterfinal game. Spain is already through to the final game, beating Sweden 2-1. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:45 now on this Wednesday morning, halfway through the work week. So we are getting that much closer to Friday. We're going to take you on a quick tour around the area because we can show you how nice of a day it is by looking outside on the MoDOT camera at US 60, Missouri 59, south side of Neosho. And as we look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline, we look pretty good there as well. Nice, calm, quiet conditions. And the same from the KDOT camera, 69 East 520th Avenue, of course, just south of Pittsburgh. So again, a great start across the area, albeit for some a bit chilly for this time of year. In Joplin right now, we are sitting at 61 degrees. We've got clear skies, and it's going to be much like yesterday, but today is just a little bit warmer than where we have been the last couple of days, even though we are a little bit cooler to start this morning. Look at some of these temps. We've got 58, Iola, Pittsburgh, Chetopa, 59 in Miami, Sedan, Yates Center, Neosho, 57, Monette, Stockton, Cassville, 60, Lamar and Carthage, as well as Fort Scott, Nevada, Chanute, and 62 over in Neodesha. As we get our morning started, we're going to have mostly sunny skies. We'll have a few passing clouds here and there. Otherwise, not a bad start, but as you can see, just a little bit warmer than yesterday. We're going into the low 70s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon hours, we got, again, another absolutely gorgeous day, but just a pinch warmer. But the most important thing is, at least for today, we're still below average as we go low to mid 80s, mostly clear skies. Again, a few passing clouds here and there, but otherwise an almost textbook fall-like day across the 4 states. We head into the evening hours and we don't fall back too much. As we go through the evening, we'll go back into the mid to upper 60s for our overnight lows, but we will hold on to those clear skies out there. So again, another great evening to get things done if you need to, or just to sit outside on the porch and just take in the fresh air because it is pleasant out there. All right, let's take a look ahead. So we're going to go into the low 90s tomorrow, so close to average on Thursday, but also much warmer. We'll go low 90s on Friday, just a little above where our average high is supposed to be this time of year. And unfortunately, as we kick into the weekend and next week, temperatures go well above average as we go back into the mid to upper 90s. And on a few days, over the next several days, we close in on that 100-degree mark. So unpleasant temperatures to say the least, and obviously summer making a very powerful return. We might cool back just a little bit Thursday and Friday, and then we're watching the possibility of some evening thunderstorm chances Friday night into to Saturday morning. Otherwise, it is going to be hot, it's going to be clear, it is going to be dry. But again, don't let all this dry weather over the next several days fool you. Remember, we got a fair amount of rain over the weekend. We're actually above average for the month of August, even though we're still down for the year, and we're still anticipating above average rainfall as we head through the late summer and into the fall months across the 4 states. So hopefully we can at least catch up on our rainfall for the year and maybe make at least a little bit of a dent in the drought situation across the 4-state area. That is a quick check of your forecast, a very simple and straightforward forecast at that for the next several days. We'll be right back after this, but we're going to take another live look from downtown Lamar.
If you have a bottle of perfume at home, there's a chance it includes an ingredient perfume makers can't get enough of. As CBS's Ian Lee reports, the value of jasmine is booming around the world.
Perfume makers say the secret to jasmine is picking it at the right time, just before the flower blooms. But farmers in India know there's another: love. We love these plants like our children, says this grower. For thousands of years, jasmine's fragrant flowers have been used to honor the Hindu gods.
When you smell it, it takes another dimension. And to me, this flower is the expression of love.
But the signature scent comes at a price. A pound of jasmine oil sells for nearly $2,000. Master perfumers use the powerful scent in some of the world's most famous perfumes, including J'adore by Dior.
It is exotic. It is lush, it is rich, it is vibrant.
Extracting the oil takes hours, from picking the perfect buds to raking and waiting for the flowers to open before loading them into a machine. A special liquid then extracts the aroma to be bottled up and sold.
When it touches people across the globe, that feeling is another level.
Turning this humble flower into a prized perfume to be worn around the world. Ian Lee, CBS News.
This jasmine is so special and connected to the region of India that it was given a special designation by the World Intellectual Property Organization. And penguins are the stars of movies and documentaries, but scientists are raising the alarm about the threats facing the flightless birds, including climate change and people's bad habits. One organization is trying to make a difference, one penguin at a time. Ian Lee reports.
This day is cause for celebration as 15 penguins waddle back into the wild off the coast of Argentina. Months ago, they entered a rehabilitation center in pretty bad shape. They were malnourished, dehydrated, hypothermic, and parasitic. Some were even exposed to oil and had eaten plastic, says Sergio Rodriguez, a biologist at the center. Veterinarians took the penguins under their wing, cleaning and feeding them while restoring them to health. But they swim off into an uncertain world. Climate change threatens to destroy their habitat, while overfishing risks starving the flightless birds. Scientists warn all of this could lead to their extinction. Because of all the known birds, penguins are the slowest to adapt and evolve. Centers like this can only do so much. All these afflictions are directly or indirectly caused by humans. We can try to save them here, but it's up to the global community to save the environment and the planet, he says. Coming together so the penguins can march on. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Scientists also warned the iconic emperor penguins are at severe risk of extinction by around 2060 as they need to solid ice in Antarctica to nest their fledgling eggs. We'll be right back. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. Celebrate the tropical flavor rum brings with your favorite cocktail, Mai Tai or Pina Colada. There's no shortage of other beverages centered around rum where it is a core ingredient. And whether you like your rum light, dark, or spiced, it all comes from sugar. That's actually how it came to be associated with pirates. Since sugarcane was grown in the West Indies as far back as the 1600s, it was common in the Caribbean region. Rum was also considered a commodity and was given to sailors as a ration on ships. So these days, we associate rum with the tropics and pirates. And sweltering summer heat is sweeping the nation, but it's a lot more bearable and even fun if you're enduring it with the wind in your face on a roller coaster. So go for it, because Wednesday is also a National Roller Coaster Day. It is observed every year on August 16th. According to NationalDayCalendar.com, it was on that day in 1898 that Edwin Prescott patented the first vertical loop roller coaster.
And we've got ourselves a pretty decent day across the area, a little bit of a cool start, and then we'll start to warm up, low 70s by late morning under mostly sunny skies across the area. So not a bad day. We're a little warmer today, but we are still below average across the area, so still not too bad as we go low to mid 80s. We'll have a few passing clouds here and there, otherwise sunny skies heading into our afternoon. As we head into the evening hours, holding on to clear skies. Again, maybe a few passing clouds here and there. We'll eventually make it back down into the mid to upper 60s across the area for our overnight lows. By tomorrow, though, we really start to warm up. We're back to about average as we go about 91, and we get a little above average by Friday as we go 93, and as we head into the weekend and the week ahead, unfortunately, we go well above average with temperatures pushing into the mid to upper 90s, getting close to that 100-degree mark out there as well. So summer definitely making a return. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with another hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, Joplin police ask for the public's help identifying an armed robber.
Well, we've got a relatively cool start across the 4 states, especially for August, but we will be a little warmer today. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, a new art exhibit gives voice to the LGBTQ experience at the Cornell Complex in Joplin.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a little bit of a cool start out there this morning.
That's true.
And we could potentially see some fog. Right now, the fog tracker not showing anything. We're keeping an eye on that. Otherwise, it's not a bad day at all. We're a little warmer later today. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, a quick look at temperatures around the area. A lot of upper 50s out there. We have 57 in Pittsburgh, 59, Joplin, Miami, Grove, Iola, Fort Scott, Yates Center, Chanute, 58, Parsons, Chatopa, Neosho, Carthage. So as you can see, we've cooled back a little bit, and we're down to 55 in Monette again this morning. Now, we will be warmer today, so as we get our day started, we're mostly clear. We've got a few passing clouds, otherwise not bad. Plentiful sunshine going into the low 70s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, kind of a repeat, we'll see some passing clouds, otherwise sunny skies, but again, a bit warmer. Still below average, but warmer as we go into the low to mid 80s. And as we head into this evening, again, not too bad overnight. We go back mid to upper 60s for our overnight lows under clear skies. However, it's still summertime, it's still August, and as we head into tomorrow, we're going to begin to warm back up a bit. Now, we're a little closer to average tomorrow, right around 91. We're just a pinch above average by Friday, 93, and then as we head into the weekend and next week, those temperatures really start to take off. We're talking mid-upper 90s, so above average, and we're looking close to 100 degrees on a few days as we head into next week. Then we see a brief cool down Thursday and Friday, and we're watching the possibility of some evening thunderstorm chances by next Friday. Something we'll keep an eye on, but obviously plenty of time between now and then. So you've still got to enjoy today. Tomorrow, well, yeah, that's hot. Still average, though, so not bad. And then I hope you get everything you need done outside because, again, heading into the weekend next week, unpleasant temperatures again, getting close to 100 degrees out there. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, authorities turned to the public for help in finding an armed robber. Monday night near midnight, Joplin police received a report of an armed robbery at Mac's Stop convenience store at 1302 South Schifferdecker Avenue. A surveillance camera showed the robber, but his face was covered and he wore gloves. He pointed a handgun at an employee and demanded money. The robber left with an undisclosed amount of cash, but no one was hurt. An Iola drug investigation leads to the arrest of an Allen County man and woman, and authorities say it uncovered some disturbing discoveries. An Iola drug investigation leads to the arrest of an Allen County man and woman, and authorities say it uncovered some disturbing discoveries. Authorities filed possession charges against Jace Ingham and Kimberly Mahoney, but a search of the house also led to the discovery of 3 children living in what authorities describe as deplorable conditions. Feces and urine believed to be from animals covered most floors, and the house was infested with cockroaches and ants. Investigators say all 3 children were unkept and visibly unclean, one appearing malnourished and extremely underweight. The children are now in protective custody. Missouri Governor Mike Parson yesterday put a spotlight on the Show Me State's new law allowing college athletes to profit by their names, images, and likeliness. He dropped by Farrat's Field in Columbia for a ceremonial signing of House Bill 417. The legislation loosens restrictions on NIL earnings in Missouri. It allows high school recruits to profit from NIL deals once they sign with an in-state college. Also, coaches and school officials will be allowed to attend meetings between student athletes and a third party where an NIL deal is negotiated. Parson says the bill is a game changer for the future of college athletes in the Show Me State.
I think this is a cutting-edge piece of legislation the legislators did. All of them are involved, Curtis, Carla, everybody that worked on this. You know, you got to pass these things. It's one thing to have an idea, but you got to get across the finish line. I think that's why this is so important, that we're setting the stage for other athletes all across this country.
The signing is a timely one as Mizzou football just landed the nation's consensus top defensive recruit in Williams Winery from Les County, Summit, and Jackson County. And a new exhibit opened up yesterday at the Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has the story.
Art has always been a way to bring people together. It makes us ask questions. It allows us to submerge ourselves into completely different worlds. And for many, it allows them to express who they truly are.
It's honestly really nice to see that our community is getting support in places like this, regardless of, you know, state lines or geography or anything else. We're all part of one community. We're all gathering to be here, so I think that's actually just a really nice thing to see.
James is a 20-year-old art student from New York. To say the least, Midwestern Missouri comes as a bit of a surprise.
Honestly, I was very shocked that the show was happening in Missouri, and maybe it's a North thing that you kind of hear how bad things are down here with legislation and stuff like that.
However, it doesn't stop this community from engaging and expressing who they are through some incredible pieces of artwork.
Well, it's important, especially in today's climate, that people realize that they're not only accepted, that they're celebrated. And by looking at gay artists' work and being proud of them and being happy for them, and we even have prize money, too. So it's just something that needs to happen.
I think who I am is just who you are. It's living your truth. It's loving who you are. It's waking up every single morning and realizing that you can be yourself. And it doesn't matter who anybody thinks. It's being able to express yourself through art, or through music, or through any kind of art medium that you choose.
For James, a self-portrait is the best way he can express who he is.
Again, representation I think is really important, and other young artists looking and seeing art that is queer and proud of it, I think is really important as well.
Reporting in Joplin, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
For those interested in visiting the exhibit, it will be at the Cornell Art Complex until September 30th. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in their first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, at least 106 people have died as a result of last week's tragic blazes in Maui, Hawaii, while search teams are still looking for more victims. Plus, the Vermont governor will hold a statewide cleanup day after being hit by massive flooding last month. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Wednesday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Lamar, Missouri's downtown square. Topping Nation Watch this morning, we're hearing from former President Trump after the latest set of criminal charges connected to his alleged attempts to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. CBS's Jared Hill has the response and a look at what happens next in the case.
On the heels of his fourth criminal indictment,
justice and the rule of law are officially dead in America.
Former President Donald Trump lashing out as prosecutors allege he and 18 others conspired to overturn the results of the 2020 election in Georgia.
Rather than abide by Georgia's legal process for election challenges, the defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise.
According to the indictment, the scheme ranged from phone calls to elected officials to visits with election workers and started within days of the 2020 vote.
Some of those acts may seem quite innocent in and of themselves, but they are each steps, according to the prosecutor, to show a pattern of activity that is, in fact, composed of ultimately of crimes.
On Truth Social, Trump promised new evidence to back up his claim the election was rigged. Georgia's Republican governor, Brian Kemp, tweeted back, the 2020 election in Georgia was not stolen. The legal pileup comes days before the first GOP primary debate for 2024, as Trump weighs whether he'll show.
Donald Trump should withdraw from the race because of what he is facing.
We see the legal system being weaponized against political opponents. That is un-American and unacceptable.
The 19 defendants have until next Friday to turn themselves in. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has petitioned to remove the case to federal court because it involves his work as a federal employee. His attorneys are also pushing to dismiss the charges, saying nothing he's alleged to have done in the indictment is criminal. And Governor Phil Scott says Vermont will hold a statewide cleanup day on Saturday, August 26. Governor Phil Scott says Vermont will hold a statewide cleanup day on Saturday, August 26. The announcement comes as residents come to recover from last month's catastrophic flooding. According to the governor's office, Subaru of New England is putting $250,000 toward the effort. Scott says the cleanup will be similar to the state's annual May Green Up Day. And the federal government's watchdog to protect consumers is proposing new rules to protect Americans' personal information online. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau wants to set new guidelines for companies that track and sell consumers' information. The goal of the new rule is to safeguard millions of Americans from data breaches, criminals, and even artificial intelligence chatbots. The proposal will extend existing regulations and could bar companies from selling certain types of consumer information such as income and payment history, with a few exceptions. The new rules have not been finalized. This isn't the only government effort cracking down on the data industry. Last year, the Federal Trade Commission proposed new regulations on how businesses collect and use consumer data. And these three survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre are said to be ecstatic by the decision from the Oklahoma Supreme Court. According to documents, the court has decided to consider their appeal. The three filed an appeal to challenge the July dismissal of a lawsuit they brought on against the city of Tulsa. They sought compensation from the city for the hardships their families endured when their homes were burned down during the massacre. The judge dismissed the case after the city argued it should not be liable for the damages. In the appeal, the three, all centenarians, are asking the court to allow them the opportunity before they die to tell what has happened to them. As the spokesperson for the city of Tulsa says, they do not comment on pending litigation. So far, no word yet on when the court will hear the appeal. And anxious survivors of the deadly wildfires in Maui are finally being allowed to return home temporarily. At least 106 people have died as a result of last week's tragic blazes, as search teams with cadaver dogs continue to look for more victims. CBS's Jessica Cardalia has the latest from Maui.
News cameras followed FEMA teams on their painstaking search and recovery mission in West Maui.
If we don't do our job, then the families can't get any closure. We just push through, that's all.
This wildfire survivor is hoping his stepfather's remains are at this forensic facility.
I just want to identify his body and put him at rest.
The Lahaina Bypass Road will open during the day, allowing residents a chance to temporarily return home.
We're trying to get back to normal so that people's lives can begin to, in some ways, be reconnected to the other side of the island.
It looked like a movie.
and then plenty black smoke coming out.
Armando Haro and his family escaped but lost their home in the inferno. Now living with relatives on Oahu, some of them say they're unsure if they'll ever return to Maui.
There's a lot of families that are still not together, and so we'll take what we have. We're blessed.
The governor has asked the state's attorney general to put a stop to outsiders coming in and snatching up land from the local community. He says it's also something that he's discussed with actor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who spent part of his childhood here in Hawaii.
The Rock, who also was sharing with me his desire to see this land stay in the hands of the people. We agreed completely.
Hawaii's governor says he also spoke with President Biden, who plans to visit West Maui in the coming weeks. Jessica Cartalia, CBS News, Maui.
President Biden says federal assets will remain in Maui for, quote, as long as it takes. The governor also says around 500 hotel rooms and over 1,000 Airbnb rooms are available for displaced West Maui residents. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now let's take it over to Chris Warner with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got a pretty decent start across the 4 states this morning. Sun beginning to come up. We do have a little bit of a warmer day, even though we're having a bit of a cooler start for us. We'll take another full look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 6:19 on this Wednesday morning, halfway through the work week, halfway closer to Friday, and it is a wonderful, beautiful day out there as we get our day started. MoDOT cameras, US 60 and Missouri 59, south side of Neosho. We're looking back to the east, and you can see we've got clear skies, but it is a bit crisp out there. It's almost fall-like. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line, showing us a great view as well, looking back to the south. And from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 5 20th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh, which is right back over there, looking okay as well. And from our camera at 7th and Range Line, I don't see a single cloud out there, and we are unlikely to see many today. But look at these temperatures, 59 in Joplin right now. But you notice the wind? South at 3 yesterday, it was out of the north. Now it's starting to shift out of the south. And that's why we're going to be a little warmer today and continue to warm up. But look at all these 50s across the board. 57 in Pittsburgh, 58 Parsons, Chatopa, Neosho, Carthage, Lamar, 59s in Yates Center, Iola, Fort Scott, Chanute, Miami, 56 in Stockton, 55 in Monette. So a very chilly start out there for us. We do have the possibility of some fog. We've been keeping an eye on the fog tracker. We're not seeing anything yet, and we may not see any fog. If it waits too long, we may luck out and not have fog like we did, oh gosh, what was it, Monday morning? No, it was storming Monday morning. It was last week, right, Caitlin? Yeah, it was last week where we had that really dense fog out there. Thankfully, we're not looking at that right now, and hopefully we won't have to deal with that. We'll only have to deal with this. Mostly clear skies, looking great out there. We're going to go low 70s by late morning, and as we head into the afternoon, this is what I mean, just a little warmer, still below average, but warmer than where we have been as we go low to mid 80s across the area. A few passing clouds, 70s through the afternoon. Not a bad day whatsoever, and a great evening ahead of us as well. So if there's some yard work, anything you've been putting off, because we have had a couple of pretty decent days. So if you've been putting off the yard work, now's probably the time to get that done, because it's going to start to heat up after this. We'll go back right around the mid 60s for our overnight lows. Now tomorrow, yeah, it's hot, but it's about average, right around 91 degrees. And Friday, not too far off that as we go to about 93. And then as we head into the weekend and next week, that's where things really start to change. We see our temperatures climb into the mid to upper 90s. And I mean, look at Sunday specifically, getting really close to reaching 100 degrees out there. And some of us may breach 100 degrees as we head into the next several days. So like I said, if you got yard work to do, now's the time to do it, because we're going to hold on to upper 90s all the way through Wednesday next week. A little cooler Thursday and Friday, not by much, but a little, and then maybe some evening thunderstorm chances on Friday. Let's check your forecast. We are back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, every summer, rip currents are a big concern for beachgoers. Christian Benavides reports from Different Beach, Florida, on what precautions you should take.
Headquarters radio check.
For millions of Americans, summer means hitting the beach, and if you're doing so in Deerfield Beach, Florida, you'll likely find Ocean Rescue Captain Mike Brown at one of the city's lifeguard towers.
When we enter the water, we're going as hard and as fast as we can.
He's personally handled countless rescues, more often than not, It's when an unsuspecting beachgoer gets caught in a rip current.
Rip currents account for over 80% of rescues performed by surf lifeguards nationwide.
Rip currents do not pull people underwater, but rather away from shore, and can pull you out hundreds of yards.
These currents can move pretty quickly, faster than even like an Olympic swimmer.
The National Weather Service says never assume it's safe to swim just because it's nice outside like today. Rip currents often form in calm, sunny days.
Experts say resist the urge to fight the rip current. Instead, swim out of the current in a direction following the shoreline or towards breaking waves. Draw attention to yourself if you are unable to reach the shore. But most importantly, swim where there are lifeguards present. The chance of death by drowning at a beach protected by lifeguards is 1 in 18 million.
It's a stressful situation initially because someone is in trouble, but you're trained to do your job, remain calm.
You can also spot rip currents out in the water. Look out for a difference in water color, a channel of churning, choppy water, or a line of foam, seaweed, or debris moving toward the sea. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Deerfield Beach, Florida.
70 people have been killed after becoming trapped in a rip current this year alone, the majority in Florida. And all infants should receive preventative intervention for the respiratory infection RSV, according to a new study out of Vanderbilt University. Researchers looked at data from fall 2022 taken from 39 hospitals across 27 states. It showed that most infants who needed ICU-level care for RSV had been healthy before their infections. RSV is the leading cause of lower respiratory tract infections and hospitalizations worldwide. And drug use could be a factor in cardiac ICU admissions. Researchers in France tested the urine of patients admitted into cardiac ICUs in 39 hospitals. They detected recreational drugs in 1 out of every 10 admitted patient, and the results affected outcomes. Compared with non-using heart patients, those who tested positive for drugs were nearly 9 times more likely to die or require emergency treatment while hospitalized. And being in good shape could help prevent certain cancers. A study of Swedish military conscripts monitored for over 30 years found that those with better cardiorespiratory fitness when they were young had a lower risk of 9 cancers, including of the head and neck, the pancreas, and the bowels. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves a very fall-like start to our Wednesday across the 4 states. We'll have another look at your forecast when the heat returns, when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 6:30, Webb City High School unveils its new $50,000 esports facility.
And we've got a pretty cool start across the area this morning. However, temperatures do start warming back up today. Take a look at how warm it's going to get coming up.
Plus, there's a new electric vehicle charging station in Neosho that officials hope will boost the local economy.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:30 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a bit of a cool start across the area this morning, but you know, that's honestly all right. It could be a lot worse this time of year.
Okay with it, absolutely.
Unfortunately, it's going to get a lot worse, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment. First, let's take a look outside. This is the MoDOT camera. US 60 and Missouri 59, south side of Neosho. We are looking back east along Highway 60 in Neosho. We've got a fairly decent start to the day. We've got Lusk Drive. We've got the Supercenter back over here. And as we take a look at the MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line, looking back to the south along Range Line, looking great as well, and getting, I think that might be some fog. We talked about the possibility of some fog. The fog tracker doesn't show anything, but we may be seeing some developing fog here on the KDOT camera just south of Pittsburgh. So again, we're going to keep an eye on the fog situation through the morning. The good news is the fog tracker updates very often, and so far it's not reflecting anything, but we'll see how this develops here. However, it is cool for sure. Look at this, 59 in Joplin, but we have completely clear skies out there, looking pretty darn good. Temperatures around the area for the most part now into the upper 50s. We've only got a handful of lower 60s in, let's say, Independence, Nowata, and Veneta. Everybody else, upper 50s out there. So we told you it was going to get a little bit on the cool side, and by golly, it certainly did. However, the crazy thing is we were warmer yesterday morning than we are this morning, but we were cooler yesterday afternoon than we will be today. Mother Nature just loves to mess with us, I think, and that's exactly what she's doing today. We're going to have mostly clear skies, few passing clouds, low 70s by late morning, and here's the big drum roll. How warm is it going to be? Not very. Warmer than yesterday, but not very warm. Still below average as we go low to mid 80s across the area. Again, mostly clear skies, a passing cloud here or there. Same as we head into the evening hours as well. And not a bad evening ahead of us either as we go back into the mid to even upper 60s across the areas. So fairly decent day. Now tomorrow, it does get a little hotter, but we're average. We're right about average at 91 tomorrow, and we're only a pinch above average by Friday as we go 93. However, temperatures decide that, oh, hey, wait, it is still summer and it's just not hot enough. So they turn it up as we head into the weekend and next week. They start climbing mid to upper 90s across the area. In fact, as you can see, we're getting pretty darn close to 100 degrees out there, and it's going to stay that way for the next several days, the majority of next week as we stay in the 90s. So today's your last great day to get out and enjoy, or if you've got some yard work or something outside you need to take care of, do it today because it is going to get hot in the coming days. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, when Webb City High Schooler students return to school next week, they'll find 6 brand new classrooms. One of them, a $50,000 esports edition. The room will be used not only for practicing esports, but also for classes like coding and programming. As the fall semester starts, the school will recruit students to join their team. They plan to compete in both regional and state tournaments. School officials also expect the facility to help students with their future.
Military and security areas use drones and a tremendous amount of the esports skills. The construction business, iron workers, there's a lot of that's done not unlike how you would play the esports games.
There's some soft skills. There's working with others to collaboratively get to a bigger goal. The opportunities and scholarship dollars that are available to our students through an esports program when they go off to college, there are some tremendous scholarships that are available.
According to the school district, 204 schools in Missouri are currently involved with esports. They also say because all of the competitions are online, there's no need to travel. 4 staters considering getting electric vehicles now have a new charging option. Liberty Utility holds a ribbon cutting for new electric vehicle charging stations. The chargers support any plug-in electric vehicle and offer 24/7 driver support and monitoring. This represents the first installation in Liberty's Ready to Charge program. The EV charging stations are located in downtown Neosho for easy access to and from Interstate 49.
This will really give an opportunity to draw some of that traffic off the interstate that is traveling and get that EV charge. And it's great when folks are getting their car charged, they can visit the shops and the restaurants here on the square in downtown and really make Neosho a destination.
Liberty's Ready Charge program launched in October 2022. The Jasper and Newton Counties chapter of 100 Women Who Care donated $37,000 to the Area Agency on Aging. The money will go towards the Meals on Wheels program and fund much needed add-ons such as fresh produce, paper products, and other essentials. Currently, participants receive 1 meal with milk and bread.
That's not a lot when you're thinking about that. That's supposed to last them a week or two, a meal per day. So these add-ons are just going to be these little extra things that they need.
We just get together for 1 hour every quarter, listen to a charity, and vote on that charity, the one that tugs our hearts, and then we write a check and we're done.
100 Women Who Care donated more than $50,000 to local organizations since starting the Jasper and Newton Counties chapter. An animal rescue shelter in Joplin celebrates a milestone. The Golden Paw Pet Rescue celebrates their silver anniversary this year. They've been a friend to man's best friend in Joplin for 25 years now. That's a lot of grooming and pet adoptions. But for one of the shelter's founders, it's been a real labor of love.
But there have been thousands of animals that have come through Golden Paw, been adopted, animals we groomed, animals we kept, just all kinds. And that's my passion, animals. The other thing that really is wonderful is the number of clients who actually have turned into personal friends over the years. And there's a lot of those.
Golden Pet Paw Rescue is located at 2300 North Main Street in Joplin. And fair season in the area might be nearing its end, but the Interstate Fair and Rodeo in Coffeyville is in full swing. Competitors yesterday showed off their pigs, cows, rabbits, and sheep. One exhibitor we spoke with says the fair teaches some valuable lessons.
It definitely takes a lot of determination and responsibility. You have to go out every morning and every night, feed them, brush them, walk them, take care of them. Taking care of them, that part is the easiest part for me. It's getting them controlled, able to walk. That's the hardest part.
The fair continues through Saturday with more events, including a carnival, monster truck rides, and a demolition derby. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. An insurance group is out with results of new crash tests that put a focus on backseat passengers.
Plus, as we've mentioned, it is a cool start across the 4 states, but the summer heat will be gradually returning. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back. But first, we have another live look from the Lamar Square.
Topping Consumer Watch this morning, an insurance group is out with results of new crash tests that put a focus on backseat passengers. Hallie Ott has the results.
You can see what happens to the outside of a car when hitting a barrier at 40 miles per hour. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety also looks at what happens inside during a crash. 7 mid-sized cars tested all received high marks for protecting the driver, but it was a different story in the back.
How did the cars perform at protecting the person in the back seat?
This is the disappointing part of the story. Only the Honda Accord achieved a good rating.
David Harkey is the president of the IIHS and says the Honda Accord did well at preventing injury to the test dummy. Compare that crash to another vehicle that received a poor rating. The head turns violently before slamming into the seat.
Experts say the reason many cars get a low grade is because seatbelts in the back are not as good as the belts in the front.
In some vehicles, the back seat belt moved from the pelvis up to the abdomen, which can increase the risk of abdominal injuries. Harkey says seat belts in the back need to be more like those in the front, with better anchor points and a tension system that mitigates the force of the crash.
We want to see those belt technologies put in the rear seat. We really want to see that rear seat passenger protected and to keep them in that safe seating position during a crash.
Harkey says automakers are already designing those changes, which will be a safety upgrade for future vehicles. Haley Ott, CBS News, New York.
Previous testing on SUVs and small cars also found most vehicles did not perform well at protecting backseat passengers. And U.S. retail sales jumped 0.7% in July compared to a year ago, according to the latest federal data. Economists say Amazon's Prime Day helped lift those numbers. Early back-to-school shopping likely drove the increase, along with an uptick in purchases at food and drinking places. And this week, more than 800,000 Americans with student loan debt will start to see their loans discharged through a one-time account adjustment. The Biden administration previously announced it would wipe out a combined $39 billion in federal student loan debt for borrowers who, quote, never got the credit they earned, end quote, after more than 20 years in income-driven repayment plans. And iPhone users can breathe a sigh of relief as Apple has moved its end call button back to the middle of the screen. Last week's beta version of Apple's iOS 17 operating system seemed to shift the button to the bottom right corner, but a newer beta version released yesterday returned it to the lower center of the screen. The system update is scheduled to be released to all users next month. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now here's Chris Warner with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, once again, we've got a cool start out there across the 4 states today, but we are going to be a pinch warmer as we head into the afternoon hours. We're going to have a complete look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes. Also, you know what's coming up next? It's everybody's favorite thing. It's birthdays and anniversaries, and we're ready to celebrate with you right after this. All right, time for some Wednesday birthdays in the 4 states, and we're going to begin with Raylan Bird, celebrating the big number 1 today. Happy birthday wishes coming from Nana and Papa Grimmett.
And over in Altamont, Kansas, happy 4th birthday to this cutie, Bodie Schaefer.
And in Fort Scott, we've got Raven Kegler celebrating birthday number 18. Very happy birthday to you, Raven.
And Meadow Scott is 22. And over in Parson, Kansas, she just graduated from KU. Happy birthday from Aunt and Uncle. Very proud. Congrats.
And in Carl Junction, Kaylee Dooley celebrating birthday number 34. A very happy birthday to you, Kaylee.
And a happy 39th birthday to Jesse Bauer.
And over in Carthage, we've got Brenda Burke celebrating number 53. Happy birthday, Brenda.
Over in Altamont, Kansas, Rocky Arp turned 70 with a message that says, "You're the best grandpa, son, brother, and husband." Very sweet.
And in Columbus, we've got Brian Clugston celebrating another year wiser today. Happy birthday, Brian.
And in Chetopa. There it is. I'm getting there.
One step at a time. You will get all these town names around here.
Happy birthday to Shirley Bell Rooney.
And last but certainly not least, Barbara Wells celebrating birthday number 85 in Parsons. Happy birthday, Barbara. Of course, we love to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries with you all every morning. Caitlin, if they want to celebrate with us, what do they need to do?
Well, all you need to do is submit to birthdays at KOAMnewsnow.com. Submit yours, your friends, your family, your loved ones' birthdays, include pictures, and any fun messages you want us to say.
And of course, if you go over to our website, you know what else it has to offer besides the latest news, weather, and sports? Well, it's got the KOAM Birthday Club, and it is super easy to sign up for, and you have no idea what you're missing out on. For example, you get special deals from local businesses. You also get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. All right, well, today's forecast pretty simplistic across the area, and it will be that way for the next several days. So some calm weather, but hot weather on the way. Live look outside from the MoDOT camera. It's US 60, Missouri 59, south side of Neosho, looking back to the west. And you can see we've got a pretty decent day starting up for us out there. And same from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line back here in Joplin. It is looking, of course, back off to the south along Range Line. And the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh, looking roughly north-northwest. We are starting to see some fog. As you can see, it's relatively limited, but there is some fog out there. The good news is the fog tracker itself not picking up on any super dense fog around the area, but do watch out for some patchy fog as you get your day started. Taking a live look at our camera from 7th and Range Line in Joplin. You can see that sunshine looks great out there, but it is a little bit on the cool side. We're sitting at 59 in Joplin, and for the most part across the area, we're sitting in the upper 50s with 2 exceptions on this map, Independence and Nowata, both in the lower 60s. Everybody else around the region, upper 50s, 58, Parsons, Chetopa, Iola, 59, Neodesha, Chanute, Nevada, 57 in Pittsburgh and Fort Scott, 57 Neosho, 55 in Monette, 56 Cassville, Stockton. So as you get the idea, a lot of 50-degree readings out there. We weren't messing around. We said it was going to get a little bit on the cool side overnight. And as we get our day started, we're going to be a little bit warmer today than where we have been the last few days. And we'll get there progressively, though. We got mostly sunny skies, a few passing clouds through the day. We're going to make it up into the lower 70s by late morning. As we head into the afternoon, pretty decent afternoon ahead of us, although a little bit warmer, still below average, but warmer than where we have been as we go low to mid 80s. Again, mostly sunny skies, a few passing clouds here and there. And that same sky pattern, at least, will repeat as we head into the evening. Mostly clear skies, maybe a stray cloud or two. Nice evening out there. Not a lot of excessive cooling overnight. As you see, we make it back into the mid to upper 60s for our lows. And unfortunately, because it is summertime will begin to make a return starting tomorrow. Now tomorrow, I know 91 is hot, but it's right about where we should be for this time of year. here. And Friday is at 93, not much higher than where we should be, but unfortunately, even that is short-lived as our temperatures really ramp up. We're going to go mid to upper 90s, closing in on the 100-degree mark as we head through the weekend and into next week. We'll have mostly clear skies, hot conditions. It is just clear and hot and dry out there, but worry not with the rain. As we've mentioned, we're still expecting above normal precipitation later through the summer, the late summer, and into the fall months, so we will see more rain. It's just not anytime soon. Our best chance for rain comes maybe Friday evening with some thunderstorm chances Friday evening into Saturday morning. Otherwise, just hot and dry out there. So if you've been putting off any outdoor work, today is another great day to do it as we stay in the low 80s before it starts to get a little too hot to be outside across the 4 states. Well, coming up, when the KOAM Morning News switches on over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m., we'll tell you how one mother was forced to bring her triplets to jury duty with her.
Here's a check of today's top headlines and news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities turned to the public for help in finding an armed robber. Monday night, near midnight, Joplin police received a report of an armed robbery at Mac's Stop convenience store at 1302 South Schifferdecker Avenue. A surveillance camera showed the robber, but his face was covered and he wore gloves. He pointed a handgun at an employee and demanded money. The robber left with an undisclosed amount of cash. However, no one was hurt. An Iola drug investigation leads to the arrest of an Allen County man and woman, and authorities say it uncovered some disturbing discoveries. Authorities filed possession charges against Jace Ingman and Kimberly Mahoney, but a search of the house also led to the discovery of 3 children living in what authorities describe as deplorable conditions. Feces and urine, believed to be from animals, covered most floors, and the house was infested with cockroaches. Investigators say all 3 children were unkept and visibly unclean, one appearing malnourished and underweight. The children are now in protective custody. And when Webb City High School students return to school next week, they'll find 6 brand new classrooms, one of them a $50,000 esports edition. The room will be used not only for practicing esports, but also for classes like coding and programming. As the fall semester starts, the school will recruit students to join their team. They plan to compete in both regional and state tournaments. School officials also expect the facility to help students with their future. And Liberty Utility holds a ribbon cutting for new electric vehicle charging stations. The chargers support any plug-in electric vehicle and offer 24/7 driver support and monitoring. This represents the first installation in Liberty's Ready to Charge program. The EV charging stations are located in downtown Neosha for easy access to and from Interstate 49. And that's a check of today's top headlines and news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, it's a bit of a chilly start out there, but we will warm up a bit more so than we did yesterday as we go low to mid 80s under mostly clear skies. We'll have mostly clear skies heading through the evening and overnight hours. It will drop back into the mid to upper 60s. As we look ahead, though, we return to normal tomorrow, low 90s on Thursday and Friday. And then after that, summer returns with a vengeance as our temperatures climb into the mid to upper 90s. And take a look Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're getting awfully close to 100 degrees again out there as we head into the next work week.
All right, well, looks like if you want to mow that yard, today's the day to do it.
Yeah, if you got to paint the house, mow the yard, plant some plants, whatever
walk the dog.
Whatever it is you need to do that's outdoors, today's your last really good day to do so before it gets a little too hot again.
Good to know. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making peanut butter and French toast in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, Holly Miner joins us in the studio for another Wildcat Wednesday.
Plus, Harrison Ford's character Indiana Jones famously can't stand snakes, but now he's got a snake named after him.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really encountered snakes myself, so I don't really know how I feel about them.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one in my yard once, but it was a tiny one.
Oh,
whatever. Right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you right here today at noon.